Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Let's Talk Network. Today we are talking Big 12. We are going to predict every single game, conference, non-conference, and we're going to give a prediction for how the Big 12 plays out this year. We are going to go pretty quickly through games that we feel are pretty lopsided, and we will highlight a few games a week that we'll talk a little bit more about. And so let's jump right in. I think we can all agree that Kansas is going to be Missouri State.
I like Kansas here as well. I like their quarterback. I think that they're not going to be the best team ever, but I think that they could have a decent season ahead of them.
Bowl eligibility again would be a good outcome, I think.
Kansas looked really good till Jalen Daniels went down with injury, and I like him a lot this year. So watch out for Kansas.
Yeah, Central Florida and Kent State. I'm going to go Central Florida on that one.
I'm going to go with that too.
Something about Central Florida that I think is really interesting is their recruiting has had a massive bump since they were joined the Big 12. I think that they're a really great program and that their rapid ascension shows good things for their future in the Big 12. And I'm excited to see what they do with more resources.
Yeah, and then number 8 in the preseason media poll as well, which is the highest of any of the new additions to the conference.
Yeah, by a pretty good margin, too.
Yeah, and I think they could outperform that expectation as well.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Watch out for UCF again.
Yeah.
Kansas and UCF, some underdogs going into the season.
Yeah. Okay, Baylor, I think, is going to breeze by Texas State.
Agreed.
Brigham Young is going to breeze by Sam Houston, I think.
Sam Houston State, not FCS anymore. Shout out to them.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
Congratulations.
Nice,
yeah.
I agree with that. Shouldn't be too hard of a week.
Yeah, Iowa State over Northern Iowa, I think, is pretty clear. And same with Kansas State over Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State over Central Arkansas. Oklahoma over Arkansas State.
Colorado could be improved. I don't think they'll give much of a challenge, though. It's hard to turn around that bad of a season
This
in one
is
game.
probably one of the better games of the opening slate for the Big 12. I am going to go TCU here. I don't think Colorado will be quite ready. They'll probably be improved from last year. I mean, anything is better than 1-11.
Yeah.
But
TCU missed losing Max Duggar and Quintez Jackson.
Yeah, that is a big loss.
But they're still a really good team. They're gonna be better in Colorado. It should be a fun game to watch. Seeing Deion Sanders' first game as a head coach.
Yeah, there will be some eyeballs on that one. But
Yeah.
TCU should win pretty comfortably.
Cincinnati, Eastern Kentucky.
I don't think Cincinnati is going to be great, but I still do like them.
Yeah,
over
kind of
Eastern
a lot of big
Kentucky,
losses,
obviously.
but it would be a pretty monumental upset for them to
Yeah.
lose to Eastern Kentucky. Houston UTSA. I actually think this is an interesting game because UTSA has been really good recently, and Houston has been pretty terrible.
Yeah, Houston's in pretty down. They're ranked number 12 in the preseason media.
I think I'm actually going UTSA here.
I am going to go UTSA here
I think
as
their
well.
team is a little bit better than Houston's.
I agree with that.
I'm not very familiar with Houston at the start of this year. Obviously, I'm going to put a little bit more eyes on them, but I have seen a lot of from UTSA that I think they can show out.
Yeah, a few good seasons in a row. Houston is pretty down right now, and I'm going to pick UTSA.
I think we all like Texas here.
Texas over Rice. I think Rice is decent. They got JT Daniels, which is funny. It seems like he's been in college forever from USC
for years.
From USC, and he's bounced around to quite a few places. But he's now at Rice. It's an interesting fact. But yeah, Texas is going to take that.
Rice is a good team. You know, they're playing against a powerhouse. Right?
Yeah.
And at home, Texas as well.
Texas Tech, Wyoming. I think this is probably a pretty easy Texas Tech lean.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's not going to be too difficult. Texas Tech is projected to be one of the better teams in the Big 12.
Number 4 actually.
Yeah, which is a good result for them, I think. If they can,
they had 4 first place votes as well.
Yeah, if they can hold up to that, I think that would be a great season for them.
And then Penn State, West Virginia.
I
think Penn State got it.
Yeah, this one isn't going to be close.
West Virginia is projected to be the worst.
Yeah,
team in
West
the Big
Virginia
12 by
is not a good
margin.
team. They're not a good team. They're going to be bad. And Penn State is going to be really good, coming off a Rose Bowl win. Really impressive game for them, I thought.
Sweet. Let's head into week 2.
Okay, starting off right off the bat, one of the most interesting games of the week, Oklahoma ASU.
This one's interesting because I think Oklahoma State is a little bit down. I don't think they're in the best position in terms of programs, but neither is Arizona State. This could be a relatively hot prediction, but I am predicting a bit of an Arizona State upset here. I think Arizona State takes this one at home.
Yeah, I think Arizona State being at home kind of puts Oklahoma State in a bad spot. Obviously, Oklahoma State has been very good for a very long time. They're kind of on the decline to start this year. Hope they do well, but I do have Arizona State winning this one as well.
Yeah, me as well. I think this is the hot upset pick, I think. I
Yeah.
think ASU is going to show up for their new coach. It's going to be a sold-out Sun Devil Stadium. I think they're going to have the juice in that week 2 to get it done just barely over kind of a down Oklahoma State team.
Exactly.
Central Florida, Boise State. This is an incredibly interesting game.
Yeah.
This is a
I did not see
really
this
a
game
good
going up.
matchup.
Yeah, I did not pay attention to this game on the when it came to the schedule announcements. So this one's actually really fun.
Yeah.
Boise State at home is always
At
a fun
home,
watch.
which is something you need to think about.
The blue turf is always fun to look at. It's always fun to watch. It's a big change for elevation for Central Florida. It's a big change in going to Boise State. That could be a hard environment to play in. Boise State's always shown out, especially the fans. But I do have Central Florida winning.
I'm going to go Boise State in this one. I think Boise State is the best team in the Mountain West, and they're probably a very similar team to Central Florida. But at home, I'm going to give them the edge. In the elevation, kind of in a place they're comfortable, I'm going to go Boise State.
Yeah, we did talk about how much we do like UCF heading into this season and their trajectory, but I do think they need a couple years
It takes time.
improved recruiting in order to build up, so I'm going to go Boise State here as well.
Not mad at that at all.
Now, probably the second best game of the week is Utah-Baylor. Utah, obviously, I think, is a more talented team than Baylor. They've come off back-to-back Pac-12 titles. Baylor a little bit down last year, not quite the best year, coming off their Big 12 title in 2021.
Yeah.
Baylor at home gives them an advantage over a Utah team that sometimes is a little suspect on the road. But I am going to go Utah. I think the talent gap is a little bit too much to overcome in that one.
I agree with that. I do think that a home field advantage is pretty important, but Utah has quite a bit more talent than Baylor, and I think that's going to end up playing a big factor in this matchup.
Nothing else to add. I agree.
Awesome.
Brigham Young versus Southern Utah. Southern Utah, obviously an FCS team. I think Brigham Young probably going to take that one pretty easily.
Pretty easy game, I think, here. At home as well, so not...
Yeah, two cupcakes to start the year. They should probably be 2-0 heading
exactly.
into week 3. Yep. Kansas State, Troy. Troy always hangs around, but I do think Kansas State is one of the better teams in the Big 12. They're going to probably
win. They were
win.
projected to finish second, actually, and they weren't that far behind the number 1 projected team, Texas.
Yeah, I think they're going to win pretty easily.
Yes. Especially after a pretty embarrassing loss to Alabama in the New Year's Six game. I can't remember what it's freaking called.
Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl. Yeah. I think Kansas State's going to come out red hot and really kind of prove that. Hey, we should have been there. So
yeah, Oklahoma, SMU. I think this is one of the more interesting games. I think SMU is good. They're not a pushover. They obviously don't have the talent of Oklahoma, so that's why I'm going Oklahoma.
Oklahoma at home. I think any upset potential kind of gets erased by being at home.
Yeah.
I think SMU is definitely one of the better Group of 5 teams out there.
Yeah.
But I agree. Oklahoma at home, it's hard to beat.
Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. This is an interesting game. With how much Cincinnati lost, losing their head coach and quite a few key players, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh at home is probably a better team, but I do think that one has a lot of potential to be really close.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think Cincinnati will be great this year, and I think on the road they're going to take a loss to Pitt.
Yeah, I agree. Houston, Rice. We talked about Rice just the last week, and like we said, we think Rice is a pretty good team. JT Daniels there is still hilarious. I'm actually going to have Rice here.
Yeah, Rice at home. I actually like that too.
I think I'll zag. I think I'll go Houston. I think Houston is going to be motivated for this game. I'm going to pick Houston.
But how we split this, 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
I think
majority
Rice will
rules.
take this.
Yeah, so we're taking Rice. TCU Nichols. Not really a game.
Too much.
Oregon, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is one of the better teams in the Big 12, but they're just not on Oregon's talent level. I think that this is a pretty.
The same thing.
It's a pretty comfortable win for Oregon. I think.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Even though Texas Tech does have that home field advantage, I do think Oregon comes in and takes a W here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of upset potential there, but Texas Tech, not known for the greatest home environment. I'm not sure that it'll affect Oregon that much, and I think the talent will win the day.
Interesting. A lot of Pac-12 teams coming over and for some Big 12 matchups for week 2.
Yeah, Utah and Oregon, 2 of the best teams in the Pac-12 coming over.
And I feel like Oregon is going to take this win. Maybe Pat Mahomes comes and hypes up
Texas Tech inspires them.
And
joins their team, perhaps, to help win this one.
And the clear game of the season, I think, in the Big 12. Texas at Alabama. Texas last year looked really good versus Alabama. They obviously lost by 1
Yes.
point. 1 point.
Single point.
Versus Alabama. And that was with Bryce Young. I'm going with a scorching hot take. I think Texas beats Alabama on the road
That
this year.
is scorching.
That's
what
one.
I'm predicting. I think we always hear the Texas is back. The hype train in Austin is going crazy. But this year I'm on the train. I believe it. I'm going Texas over Alabama.
Choo choo. I agree.
I'm going to bring us down to earth. It seems like you guys have made up your mind. Texas over Bama. I'm predicting a Bama win here.
I'm just saying, if Q Ewers didn't get injured,
At home,
Texas
you think
wins
they're
that game.
going in and beating Alabama?
I think they're going in and beating
You're
Alabama.
a believer?
I do. I'm a believer.
Okay.
Alabama, this is week 2. Alabama's quarterback situation is incredibly unsettled. It's incredibly unsettled.
But every single other player on their team might be better than Texas.
I think Texas has the talent to compete. I think you get a mediocre QB game from Alabama and they have a shot.
I don't know. At home, that's hard for me to bet
Well,
against
I'm predicting
Alabama.
the upset, so
Yeah,
there we go.
okay.
Hey, I'm coming on with you.
Okay.
I'll follow that train. Might as well. Let's do it.
Okay.
Have some fun.
Duquesne in West Virginia. It's going to be West Virginia, but it's going to be
Just
closer
'cause-
than people think.
yeah.
Just because I don't think West Virginia's good.
For me, I like Iowa here.
Yeah,
Even though they are on the road against Iowa State. I don't love either of these programs, to be real
Yeah.
with you. But I think Iowa edges them out just a little bit in my mind.
I do like Iowa's addition of Cade McNamara from Michigan.
Yeah, that is a great
who
pickup.
lost the QB
That could
battle
help
to
their
JJ
offensive
McCarthy.
struggles.
I actually have Iowa pretty comfortably over Iowa State. I'm going to pick Iowa.
Gotcha.
Nothing to add. That pickup from Jade. I can't remember say his name.
Cade McNamara,
Cade
from
McNamara.
Michigan.
Sorry, I'm mixing up names for it. So
Yeah.
Cade McNamara from Michigan is going to help Iowa a lot.
Yeah.
I love what he said when he joined. Like, don't sleep on us. Like, I know that everyone was talking how the offense sucked. I'm coming in.
Yeah.
We're going to play good. I like that confidence.
Yeah.
I like that.
Kansas, Illinois. This should be a Kansas because I think they're better than Illinois.
At home as well.
At home as well. If Jalen Daniels is healthy, I'm going to pick them.
Sweet.
Okay, let's go into week 3.
Week 3. There's been some good games so far.
Yeah, great games. Really great games. Long Island at Baylor. It's going to be Baylor, obviously.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's going to beat South
Oklahoma.
Alabama. Iowa State will beat Ohio. Texas Tech will beat Tarleton State.
Yeah.
Um,
This is an interesting one.
Yeah,
here.
Brigham Young at Arkansas. This is probably one of the better games of the week. Probably the
Yeah.
best now that I'm looking at the schedule. I'm going Arkansas. BYU couldn't beat Arkansas at home last year, and I
Yeah.
think Arkansas is better than they were last year, and I think BYU is worse.
Yeah.
So if BYU could keep this within 2 scores, that would be a pretty good outcome for them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pick Arkansas.
That's exactly what I was thinking. BYU's only advantage really is just their home stadium. Their talent is significantly below a lot of the people that they're playing, especially at the Power 5 level.
Yeah.
And so I just think at Arkansas, on the road, this is going to be a really tough one for them to win. And
Yeah.
I think Arkansas will come out with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Going to an SEC team, trying to win at away SEC team is always difficult. So I think BYU loses that pretty easily.
Yeah, I've got Cincinnati over Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
I've got
UCF over Villanova.
UCF over Villanova. I've got TC over Houston, which I
Same.
think is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Kansas over Nevada. I also think that's pretty easy.
Texas, Wyoming.
Texas over Wyoming.
Yeah.
I think is pretty easy. Oklahoma over Tulsa. I'm going Pitt over
I've
West
got
Virginia.
Pitt over West Virginia. As
West
well.
Virginia, I just don't think is good at all.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very bad this year.
Yeah, they're not going to be good.
And this is probably the game of the week, I think.
One of them, Kansas State versus Missouri.
That should be a good game.
I think-
honestly.
I think I'm going Missouri at home because Missouri really gave Georgia a good challenge last
Yeah.
year. I think they're building something.
Exactly. You can't ignore that game they
Yeah,
gave Georgia. That means
exactly.
something.
I think their talent is just as good as Kansas State's talent, and the home will push them over the edge. So
Yeah.
I do think this is an upset, but that's what I'm predicting.
Just like what I talked about with Arkansas, going into an SEC team, SEC home is hard to do.
Yeah.
Going in there being.
I do think Kansas State's quite a bit better than BYU if you want to compare those situations.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
of
I think
course.
this one will be closer, but I do think Missouri
of
gets
course.
the win here.
It's hard to. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see what's going to happen, but I feel Missouri definitely going to beat that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
we will
head
move
on
on
to
to
week
week 4.
What do you think? One more week, then we do a breakdown of some standings?
Yeah, one more week, and then we'll do standings breakdown. Actually, let's do 2 more so we can get a little bit of
Gotcha.
conference play. Texas at Baylor. For me, Texas is the clear class of the league. Their roster is the best that they've had. I believe in Quinn Ewers, and if Quinn Ewers doesn't work out, I believe in Arch Manning. And so,
Yeah.
and so To me, Texas is the runaway favorite in the Big 12. I'm picking Texas to beat Baylor on the
Yeah,
road.
I agree with you.
Yep.
I like Texas. I just
think
like their
Baylor-
roster a lot more.
I think Baylor is definitely a good team, but Texas is just in a league of their own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. This next one could be a hot one. I'm predicting an Iowa State win at home here.
I am as well. I think
Okay.
that Oklahoma State is really going to struggle this year.
I agree.
It's a down year for them, and I'm picking Iowa State.
yeah, let's do it.
nice.
I think Kansas State rebounds in a big way. They beat Central
Yeah.
Florida at home.
Home win
handily,
against Central Florida.
and they
here.
kind of right the ship a little bit after
Mhm.
kind of a surprising upset, I
Yeah.
would say.
I think Jalen Daniels has a really good game against BYU here.
Yeah.
And then wins. And again, going BYU is a new addition to the Big 12, going into that Big 12 environment,
Yeah.
Power 5 first time. Obviously, I think they were independent for a while, and so they've had some experience in those bigger games. But it's a completely different dog when you're part of it.
Yeah, their
Exactly.
talent, frankly, isn't up to a standard of a Power 5 conference yet. It'll take a few years.
Yeah.
On the road, they've always struggled. They play a lot of home games every year because of the
Yeah.
independent schedule.
Mhm.
This will be different.
Yep.
I'm going Kansas pretty comfortably in that
Yeah,
one.
so am I. Kansas is ranked a few spots above them as well in those preseason rankings.
Yeah.
So I think BYU is going to struggle a little bit.
Yeah. It's SMU at TCU. This is a huge rivalry game. This one is very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a hot take. I think that SMU is going to upset TCU. I think
Ooh.
SMU is pretty good this year. I think TCU lost a lot. It's no.
I agree. It's
no
hard to
gimme.
replace production.
It's no gimme that they can replace Heisman runner-up Max Duggan and Quentin Johnson, first-round receiver,
Yeah.
In a
So-
year.
In a year, and so I'm going SMU.
I like SMU's trajectory. They've been playing really well, and I'm also going to go with an SMU upset win here. I think that they have what it takes, and I think TCU could potentially underrate them a little bit,
Yeah,
and they might not be able to replace the production they lost.
and it's a rivalry game, so
Yeah,
I'm
the
always
tensions are
expecting.
high.
Yeah, I'm always expecting that to be. you
And
know, something
SMU is trying
interesting.
to. There's a lot of rumors SMU is trying to get into a Power 5. SMU could make a big statement.
Yeah,
here
that would
at
be a
TCU.
very big win.
Yeah,
And so I can see them showing up. I'm going to just, if devil's advocate here, I think TCU is going to win. At home, it's hard to do a lot. When you're at home, it's hard to kind of pick those underdogs
Yeah.
to win.
yeah,
But I can definitely see it happening.
There's
So,
college football's crazy, and there's always upsets.
yeah. Oklahoma at
I
Cincinnati.
like Oklahoma.
I like Oklahoma as well.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, West Virginia's not going to be good, and I like
Houston over that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Right away, Cincinnati at Brigham Young. I think this might be one of the most even games of the season in the Big 12, where
Yeah.
both kind of in a state of flux, don't really have the
Mhm.
talent yet to compete at the Power 5 level.
Yeah.
I think Cincy has a little bit more experience in big games. I'm going to go with Cincy on the road over
I'm going to
BYU.
agree with that too. I think that coming off of a tough loss, BYU is not going to really come to play, and I think that Cincinnati's going to be able to take this one because BYU, they lost quite a bit of production.
Yeah, I
Their
think
team's going to be pretty bad this year, and I think Cincinnati is going to get a pretty nice win for them.
I think something that we've seen with BYU a lot over the past few years is when they have played more Power 5 games, which is only 5 or 6 comparatively to like 9 or 10
Yeah,
that you would
or
do in the Power
less.
5 league. Their roster has not been able to hold up. Their injuries have piled up.
Yes.
They've become fatigued. They just didn't have the athletes to keep up with the grind in and out of the
Exactly.
schedule. And I think we're predicting a little bit of that here. Going from a tough game at Arkansas to a tough game at Kansas and then to Cincinnati back to back,
Yeah.
which it's going to be, I think it's going to be rough for them.
That might be one of the hardest stretches they've ever played
Yeah.
the last decade or so.
Yeah, it's going to be an adjustment for sure.
I'm going to take BYU here. I think the idea that Solvis is on that team, he transferred in from Pitt,
Yeah.
that kind of helps him a lot. He's played some big
A
games.
little bit of a veteran quarterback.
And
then
Settle the nerves a
obviously-
little.
Obviously, with the Cincinnati losing their head coach, and I think BYU, they've had that same Sataki guy for a while now,
yeah.
so they have a lot less change going on when it comes to the coaching staff, and that can help them out. So I think BYU can win that one, especially at home.
Iowa State at Oklahoma. I don't think this would be that competitive. I think that Oklahoma's going to take that one.
I agree. I think that's pretty consensus.
Yeah,
Then
Oklahoma at
TCU
home.
over West Virginia.
Yeah, TCU
home.
is going to take that.
Texas Tech
over Houston.
This one's a fun one.
Yeah, this is a very even matchup, I think, especially with
With
UCF being at home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go UCF. I think they're gonna get a really statement win for their first year
I
in the
agree.
Big 12.
I think this will be like
this is their
win.
statement.
Like we're here.
Yeah.
I think this is one of Texas's biggest challenges outside of Alabama to start the year so far.
Yeah.
I think Kansas is pretty dang good this year.
High praise of Kansas.
But with that being said, Texas at home, Quinn Ewers, Steve Garcia. I can't say his freaking name. Sarkisian. Jeez. My freaking tongue twisters today. They're going to come out with a big win, but I think it'll be competitive.
I think Texas is the most talented team in the Big 12 by a huge margin, in my opinion. I'm going Texas.
I like that. Awesome. We are heading into week 6 now.
I think we take a little pause here and look at the standings.
Yeah, let me go through these. Okay, so 1 and 2 are Oklahoma and Texas, 5-0 and 2-0 in conference. I think that's pretty expected. I mean, out of the talent base, they have by far the best. I would say Oklahoma hasn't played anyone yet, really. Texas, obviously, that huge win over Alabama, which obviously is a toss-up. But I do believe in Texas, and I am not sure about Alabama early in the season. I think they'll get into form later.
Yeah. Alabama does not apply to the conference, and this is going to go take conference games in play more than your average win-loss as well.
Yeah.
And
then TCU and Texas Tech both at 4-1 and 2-0 in the conference. I think that's pretty expected. They're two of the better teams in the conference.
Yeah.
They've had good seasons so far. Not dropping a conference game yet. And the next one, Kansas State and Kansas at 3-1 and 4-1. I think that's right where we kind of expect them to be.
I think Kansas would be, their fans would be a little bit happy at 4-1.
I think they'd be very happy at 4-1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then we have a 3-2 teams: Iowa State, Cincinnati, and Central Florida, which I think would be a pretty good outcome for all three of those teams.
Yeah.
BYU, Oklahoma State at 2-2, BYU at 2-3, Baylor at 2-3, Houston at 1-4, West Virginia at 1-4. I think that's kind of expected for those teams as well.
Yeah, I think Baylor's going to be a bit disappointed, but they've had a pretty hard schedule so far.
Yeah.
Where it looks like so far what we have is lining up very closely to what the media poll is.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the expected standings a little bit after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this week 6. Kansas State at Oklahoma State.
This is when we get into the meat of conference play.
Yeah.
So these are where a lot of these really good games start.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma State at home, they're always good. They're always good at home. But it's one of those things, like we've talked about before, they're on the decline. They're not as good as they once were. Kansas State is pretty dang good. They're projected, I think, number 2 to start.
Yeah,
for the
14 first place votes as well.
So I'm going to take Kansas State here in a close game where Oklahoma State just struggles to close it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Kansas State as well. I think it's going to be a tight game.
I think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
But I'll take that.
Yeah. On this game, I'm going with a little bit of upset here. I'm going Baylor.
Yeah.
I think Baylor's going to defend their home field. I think Texas Tech, the talent is good, but not good enough to carry them week in and week out. They're going to have a couple road bumps. And I think this is one of those road bumps that maybe they didn't see coming, but Baylor's going to catch somebody. They're going to have a win this year.
I think Baylor will bounce back from a couple tough losses to good teams.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll defend the home field right here.
Baylor at home, that's a hard team to beat. And I think Texas Tech does have what it takes to win. But I do think Baylor will come out on top here and show us some life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. TCU at Iowa State.
This could be closer than people think.
Because Iowa State's at home. I think I am going to go TCU here, though. I think I probably trust them to get it done on the road.
I agree. They still have a lot of that core that was in the college football playoffs. And so I like that experience of those guys they still do have, even though they lost a lot of really big players.
Yeah.
So I like TCU there.
Yeah, I agree. TCU comes out with a good win. Kansas UCF.
Yeah, so for here, I think I'm going to predict the first upset for Kansas. I think I'm going to predict UCF.
Yeah.
I like their talent. I like the swagger they're coming in with. I think that they're going to be motivated to put on a good showing their first year in the Big 12. Show that they belong.
I think they're going to want this.
Yeah.
And Kansas is a good team to do it against.
Texas at Oklahoma.
Now this is a big one.
This is quite a game.
Right now, these are the two top teams in the conference.
Texas, of course, last year, 49-0.
Yeah.
49-0 over Oklahoma.
Wow.
Can they turn that around, do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't think they win this game, but I don't think it's 49-0.
Yeah, 49-0 again would be kind of shocking.
I think that I am going to predict an upset. I think I'm going Oklahoma to beat Texas.
I'm going Texas here for
I'm
me.
going to go Texas as well. I think Texas, like we've talked about a lot today, is really, really good.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers has shown that he can do it on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is up there.
Yeah. That's the only team I think can challenge Texas talent-wise.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can catch Texas on a bad day, but talent-wise, that's the only one I really got.
Yeah.
Okay, West Virginia at Houston. This is kind of the battle of
I think
the
this will be
bottom.
a Houston win. West Virginia, I'm
going to give it to
mad,
West
man.
Virginia here. I think.
You think so?
I'm just going to give it to home team when I don't think either team is very good.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I think the experience of being in that P5 longer and kind of gives them that edge, but nothing to really argue here. More just kind of just opinion.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna pick Kansas falling to Oklahoma State on the road. I think Oklahoma State's
I like
gonna bounce
Oklahoma
back
State
at home.
here as well.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I think this one's pretty easy. TCU is quite a bit better. BYU struggles on the road a lot of the time.
BYU just hasn't had the time to get a roster that's ready for a team that
Yeah.
actually has talent.
Exactly.
So I've prepared to get TCU.
Yeah.
Kansas State at Texas Tech.
This is a big one.
Yeah, I'm going Texas Tech here. I think that the home field will help them. I'm not totally sold on Kansas State. I don't love their quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I think that they're probably gonna bump have a few road bumps when they didn't expect it. This is one of them.
I agree.
Picking Texas
I
Tech.
like that.
Yeah.
Then I like Iowa State here. A road win for Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's gonna be pretty
I can
bad.
definitely see that. I think Ohio State.
Iowa State.
Did I say
Ohio State. Yeah.
I definitely would pick Ohio State. But Iowa. I almost said it again. Iowa State is definitely the pick here. Cincinnati losing that head coach is really hard for me to kind of pick otherwise.
Yeah.
Sweet. So the conference race shaping up a little bit more here.
Yeah. Texas Tech at BYU again. Texas Tech probably just picked in the top of the conference. BYU near the bottom.
Yeah.
I think Texas Tech is going to take that one.
I agree with that.
Again, I like BYU at home a lot. I think they have a lot of diehard fans that are going to show out and be really loud.
Yeah.
I don't know if Texas Tech can handle.
I don't know. They have
pressure.
been known for their stadium to empty a little bit. The worse they do schedule wise.
Yeah, I wonder how they would be at 2-4. You know,
Yeah,
it would
I'm
be
not.
interesting
I'm
to
not
see.
sure that home field advantage would stay like if they had, say if they were like 4-1.
Yeah, and what Keldon or Keaton Slovis.
Keaton Slovis, yeah.
Keaton Slovis is gonna what they're gonna get. Are they gonna get the Keaton Slovis from Pitt or his younger USC days?
So it's like what he had.
He
what,
was
last
bad
year?
at Pitt.
10
Yeah, he was
touchdowns,
really
9
bad at Pitt.
interceptions.
Yeah, so he really hasn't been good when there hasn't been elite talent around him.
Yeah.
So,
that's
and we know BYU doesn't really have elite
Exactly.
talent, but we'll see if he can
Yeah.
get resurrected there. TCU at Kansas State. I'm going Kansas State,
I like
protecting
Kansas
their
State at
home
as
field.
well here.
yeah.
They've had a little bit of probably an up and down season for what they're expecting. I'm expecting them to right the ship, massive win over TCU, and to keep themselves kind of plugged in the
contention.
conference race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
this
like
is
Oklahoma here.
I think it's a really fun game, but I think Oklahoma at home versus UCF is definitely the play here.
Yeah, I like that too. And then moving on, I like Baylor over Cincinnati. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Cincinnati believer, that's for sure. So I think Baylor's going to get a win here on the road.
Yeah,
Another pretty simple one, Texas versus Houston here coming up.
It's just a talent mismatch.
Yeah, it's a mismatch. And then West Virginia.
I don't think they're any good.
Yeah,
I think
they're
Oklahoma
no
State
good.
is
They're
gonna
not
run
good
them.
at all. Okay.
Well, wait, you picked West Virginia.
Oh.
We're going to pick Oklahoma
Oops.
State. Yeah.
trying to sneak one pie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Week 9. I think it might be a good time to take a break and look how the conference race is shaping up heading into the last few weeks.
So the top 2 is Texas and Texas Tech, which both were in the top 4 of the media poll.
With TCU there for second.
With TCU and Oklahoma there. So I think that is the top 4 of the poll as far as the Big 12 poll.
Yeah, Texas,
State's
Kansas
number 2.
State.
Oh, Kansas State. Okay.
Yeah.
But Kansas State's right there. At
Yeah, Kansas
3-1
State's
right
in
there,
conference
3-1.
play.
So they're really, if they just hold serve, basically, they'll be right up there for the number
Exactly.
2 spot. So I think it's playing out pretty much how people are predicting.
Yeah, with Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, and West Virginia bringing up the bottom.
At the
four.
bottom. Yeah, that's kind of the expected group, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Iowa State at Baylor. I'm going Baylor.
I like Baylor here too.
Baylor at home. It's hard
Kansas
to.
State at home. I like Kansas State here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick against those home games when you're just not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oklahoma State at Kansas. I think that this will be a good game, but I think Oklahoma just more talented than Kansas,
agree
in my
with that.
opinion.
I think Kansas puts a nail in Oklahoma State's coffin and kind of takes them out of the race
really?
for the conference championship and,
Wow.
and gets a win at home.
Good thing we go on 2/3. Just kidding.
Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. This is where I think Cincinnati is going to get their signature win of the Big 12 entrance.
I could see that. A bit of an up and down Oklahoma State team drops one.
I think all of the new members are going to want to make their mark. And so games like this are where Cincinnati is going to look to make their mark. So I think I'm taking Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You're taking Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where Cincinnati really needs a win. And if they can go out there against a team that is struggling, they can definitely make a big mark.
Yeah, I like UCF here.
Me as well.
At home, it's
not a ton to say.
Yeah, I don't think West Virginia is good at all.
Yeah.
I think they're very bad.
I like Texas a lot here. I think that they have a vastly better team than BYU, and I think it's going to be a very rude awakening, losing like quite a few games in a row. What would this be? Their third or fourth consecutive loss?
Sixth consecutive,
Sixth
actually.
consecutive.
So I just don't think they have the talent to hang with Texas. I mean, I think you kind of saw that with Oregon last year, where it was a blowout from the jump. BYU just looked slow and unathletic compared to Oregon. A similar thing is going to happen here with Texas.
I think this is one of those games where if Quinn Ewers isn't already in conversation for the Heisman, this kind of cements him as a guy. His wide receivers will be open a lot. With their
this
speed.
one could get out of hand a little.
This one could get at him pretty quickly. So I can see BYU putting a little bit of pressure on Texas, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is a snooze fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. We're reaching the end of the season.
Yeah, we're nearing the end.
Big game, TCU, Texas Tech. This matters a lot.
Yeah,
for ranking.
ton for the Big 12 title game. I think this is an interesting one. I think I'm going TCU with their experience advantage. I think I'm going TCU.
I'm going to go TCU as well, even though it's at Texas Tech. I don't know if they have the best home field advantage traditionally. And then I think I like TCU's experience, like you were saying, as things get tighter later into the season. I think something like TCU's experience is really going to shine through here.
Yeah.
And this seems pretty easy. Baylor over Houston.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think Houston is any good.
This could be a pretty close game, actually.
I'm going Kansas here. I think Kansas is a little bit better than Iowa State.
Road win Kansas here.
Road win Kansas.
I do like that as well.
Sure. Big game here.
Big rivalry.
Always fun.
The last Bedlam game that is scheduled. There are no more Bedlam games scheduled.
Wow.
And so this one's going to have a ton of extra meaning because it could be 25 years before they play again. I have Oklahoma going out on a win. I think that Oklahoma is better than Oklahoma State this year. Kind of a bad year for Oklahoma State to have Bedlam end. They'd want it to have happened maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think Oklahoma State, just because it's such a passion-filled game, I think it's going to be a crazy game in which they take the win.
Man, you put a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah, the deciding vote.
I'm going to go Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
I feel like Oklahoma knows it's going to be a big game for their momentum heading into SEC. I think they come out a win on top.
Gotcha. So going in Central Florida and Cincinnati.
I think Central Florida gets the win here. I think they're just overall better team than Cincinnati. I think it's a little bit of an upset for UCF, kind of just going to Cincinnati. It'll be a hard win, but hard fought and deservable win for them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this one.
Gotcha. I'm going to take Central Florida.
Okay, Kansas State at Texas.
I like Kansas State, but I like Texas better, especially. I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they're going to be 9-0 though. I think Texas is going to drop a game to Kansas State here.
Interesting. What do you think, Ethan?
Texas at home. That's hard to pick against. I mean, if they can beat Alabama away like we're talking about, I think they can beat anyone. So I think Texas is the pick here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texas as well.
Gotcha.
Brigham Young at West Virginia. This is the two bottom teams in the Big 12. I do think there's probably a gap between BYU and West Virginia. I'm going to take BYU to get their first Big 12 win of them joining the Big 12.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think the West Virginia is pretty bad.
I think BYU needs a win, and I think this is a good spot to get it.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's go into these later weeks.
Iowa State at Brigham Young. I think it's going to be Iowa State because I think at this point, BYU might be a little disengaged. They're probably going to be decently injured as far as their roster goes. They'll just be adapting to life kind of in a Power 5 conference.
Yeah, that's my exact same read on it. I think the team will be a little bit deflated. They're going to be on the back foot, some injuries maybe. It takes a while to build up a Power 5 roster, especially when they've been playing at such a lower level for the last few years.
Yeah.
So I like Iowa State here.
Yeah, me as well. Baylor at Kansas State. I am going with, I think I'm going to go Baylor.
I was going to say, I'm going to go for a little upset here.
I think they're going to have a little bit of a late renaissance in the season after starting a little slow.
Yeah.
You know, maybe their QB gets a bit more experience and their team, they have a young O-line. Maybe their young O-line develops a little bit and they are able to make a push.
I agree with that because I think tough teams at the beginning of their schedule could possibly make them look worse than they are.
Yeah.
But once they get more settled, they can get into a rhythm a little more and realize they have some decent talent on the team.
Okay, Texas Tech.
I like
at
Texas
Kansas.
Tech here.
I like Kansas in this one.
Really?
I'm going to go with Kansas for the upset a little bit.
I think Kansas at home is probably the favorable pick here. I'm going to pick Kansas.
Okay.
I think Oklahoma over West Virginia, no-brainer.
This is an interesting one.
This is probably
I
the
think
most
TCU
important
wins
one.
this personally.
Yeah, I think Texas is going to have a bad game.
I don't think Texas is going to go 10-0.
TCU probably gets one.
I agree.
I'm going to
with
pick
that.
TCU.
I think after a pretty rough game last week for Texas, I think TCU probably comes out here and jumps the gun and gets an early lead and holds on to it and wins over Texas here at home.
Oklahoma State at Central Florida. I'm going to go Oklahoma State, a little bit of an experience factor.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too.
You know, I think the Big 12 is going to beat itself up a lot this year because they have a lot of teams that are just pretty average.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a lot of different kind of results where week to week you're going to not be sure what you get.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why you see a lot of teams are going to end up in this like 5 to 8 win range.
7-5, 4-6, that range, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Oklahoma State there, and then do we like Cincinnati or Houston here?
I like Cincinnati. I think they're both making the jump to Power 5, and I think Cincinnati's a little bit better prepared.
I like Houston at home. It just gives that defending your territory vibes.
I like Houston here as well.
Okay.
I think they're pretty similar teams.
Okay, week 12.
Last week shaping up.
Oklahoma at Brigham Young. I think this is pretty obviously Oklahoma here. Yeah.
Oklahoma, I think they win in a pretty convincing manner. BYU doesn't really have anything to play for.
At this point,
they're
not going to be bowl eligible.
Yeah, they've missed out on bowl eligibility. They're not in contention. And so I think Oklahoma will come out, capitalize on this, take it over.
Yeah.
Same with Texas and Iowa State.
Yeah, pretty similar kind of game there. I think Kansas is going to win the rivalry game. I think they are. I think Kansas is going to upset Kansas State.
Win and on a little bit of a hot streak for
Kansas.
And on
a hot streak for Kansas. Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to go with that.
I really like what their coach is building.
I like them coming in ending 7-4 for the season. Really solid for Kansas. Kind of skyrockets them to a lot of not what the word I'm looking for. A lot of potential for next year.
Yeah. So this is going to be a must-win game for TCU here.
Yeah, to be able to have a chance to stay attached in the conference.
Exactly.
And truly, I think they get it.
I'm going Baylor. I'm riding with the late season renaissance for Baylor.
I agree with that. I think TCU, I think they fall short this season and we get a Texas-Oklahoma final before they leave the Big 12.
Yeah. Central Florida at Texas Tech. I like
Texas
Tech at home.
Agreed. I think same thing like Oklahoma State. Last week, the experience kind of just overrules Houston and they get the W.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Cincinnati over West Virginia, I think is pretty clear.
I like that as well.
Okay, last week of the season. This is where it will be decided, right here. TCU at Oklahoma. This decides who goes to play versus Texas.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to beat TCU, in my opinion. And they're going to make
an 11-1 season for Oklahoma, you believe?
Yes.
I think that Oklahoma peters out a little towards the end, and I'm going TCU here.
Going TCU, okay. What are you doing?
This is one of those games that really could come out of nowhere for you. Let's go TCU. I like it.
Okay, TCU.
Wow, that puts TCU in second.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay. I have Texas at home here.
I do too. I think this is going to be a tough game for them, but I do have Texas keeping their eyes on the prize, making it to the title game.
Yes,
agreed.
Baylor over West Virginia.
Yeah. I like Kansas State over Iowa State.
Yes, I like that as well.
I like
Oklahoma State.
OSU at home over BYU.
I agree. I like Kansas over Cincinnati. I think Kansas is going to take it
You
on the
like
road.
Kansas at the end here, don't you?
I do. I really do.
I'll ride with it. I like Kansas.
Let's do it.
And I'm taking UCF over
UCF to
Houston.
win.
Okay, so as you can see, Texas and Oklahoma, they do end up meeting in, I think it's Dallas for their title game, Cowboys Stadium.
Wow.
That is obviously going to be probably a big slap in the face to Big 12 fans as Texas and
Yes.
Oklahoma make their exit from the conference. But frankly, they're just the two most talented teams this year. They're just
Yeah.
the two best.
The two biggest brands in the conference.
And I think that in that title game, I'd probably favor Oklahoma to get it done, win another title before their end. So they both finish at 11-2, and probably neither makes the playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely outcome. I'm going to roll with Texas there. I think Texas is really talented. They get themselves into the playoff most likely at 12-1, and kind of ride the train fast and hard to
SEC.
SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Tanner here. I do think that Oklahoma will pull off a win in this Big 12 title game, which would be unfortunate for the Big 12 as well because no playoff team would advance.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't really see a playoff team from the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I don't think any of them have quite enough talent to reach that.
But yeah,
honestly, I don't know where the loss is going to be, but I do think Texas will be 10-2.
yeah.
I think they'll be in the title game, but I think they'll be 10-2.
This should be an incredibly interesting conference because there's a lot of teams that are right around kind of the middle of the pack that should, kind of beat up on each other. And you can see that where there's 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, 5-7, 5-7. There's a lot of teams that are hovering around that area where a few bounces of football, change things for them.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to Let's Talk College Football. Please check out our other videos and like and subscribe. Comment anything you want to.
Please leave comments. We read and respond to every comment. So let us know your thoughts on this video.
Look out for the other Power 5 conference predictions. We have the Pac-12 one already done. Look out for the ACC, SEC, and Big 10 coming in the next few videos. So, again, like, comment, subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you.